I've been waiting to cast an Ascension Gaming because they're so much fun to watch. It's a play-by-play's dream, Betty, is to go through the chaos and the team fighting and the speed at which this team plays. So I'm expecting some fun ones. Let's see what the teams have in store.
Well, I imagine they're going to take it fairly seriously, even though what's on the line isn't a huge amount. There's still a matter of pride on the line. And KLG, I imagine they want to end on a high. Same for Ascension Gaming. No one really wants to end with only a single win on the board. Perhaps, though, we could see some interesting picks come out. I do know that a couple of particular champions are pretty strong on the current meta, so we'll see what they decide about, as we see it pretty standard bans for most.
Yep, so far so expected here. Ascension with Olaf and Skarner banned away. There's Kai'Sa and Rakan on the KLG side. But certainly with you on the pocket pick potential that this game could have, as Gangplank will get taken off the board. I agree. If you're going to play like a game, for pride, just take Gangplank away. It's not a fun experience.
Not fun. He is not fun at all. Olaf is still... oh, what am I talking about? Olaf was banned away. A lot of junglers banned away. Trundle is still available. Caitlyn is up as well. Xayah could be too, but I feel like that without Rakan, she doesn't really feel as strong right now. Camille going to be the priority for Rocky up in the top lane, and I feel like that's one of his big comfort picks. This man loves to play carries. During the regular season, this was one of his go-to champions, and he's more than happy to pick it up for himself.
Like the look there from Ascension. Going to give Rocky that pick. We'll see what KLG have lined up for their first rotation. I have loved a lot of the Vladimir plays so far this tournament. Plugo has impressed me on a lot of different champions, but we'll keep that away at least for now. A Caitlyn here for picks, which has been a standby for him this whole tournament and in general at the event. Caitlyn, of course, very prevalent, and ooh, we're going to get it. Caitlyn Morgana.
Ooh, blind Caitlyn Morgana. That's always a potential risk, because you got to remember that things like in Ashe, Karma is actually really good as an answer, because you can match the range of the Caitlyn, and you can use the Karma Qs to just break the spell shields immediately. So you actually generate a lot of pressure. No, we're just going to stick with Braum. Looks like that. I'm not a massive fan of this, because I feel like Morgana typically does pretty well into the Braum lane, but we'll see. It does give you a bit of all-in power, and you can apply those passive onto multiple members at any single time. So maybe they'll look to play a super aggressive bot lane, or maybe they'll just play on the back.
I was going to say, it's a lot more aggressive, which I think is kind of what Ascension have brought us a lot so far in this group, so I don't mind the Braum, but I can agree with you that there are some troubles you can run into versus Morgana. Sejuani will stay...
You're trolling us, bro. Come on.
This always...
Yeah, you can never believe the hovers.
Everyone can hover Yasuo, but only a true wanderer can lock him in.
100% win rate on the Sejuani, even though she's kind of fallen down in priority. She's had impacts when she has been played. I will say that the Braum does offer a lot of team fight value. So right now, Ascension built themselves a pretty decent team fight composition. Camille, even though she does pretty well off in the side lanes, she's still very valuable in those fights thanks to her ultimate and her ability to just dive onto the backline. We'll see how things play out for Ascension as Chaos Latin Gamers round out their first half of the draft. Yep,
Sion done. Now Ezreal being banned away from Lloyd did show off the double tier. Was looking pretty good in the win earlier today. So I'll take that one off the board. There's Trundle banned actually. So kind of moving tier wolves champions down, trying to take away some of these strong junglers.
What else could you ban away? Further AD carries Varus is a potential option. Depending on whether or not Lloyd plays it, you could consider banning away the Ashe. I do think that it is a pretty solid pick into the Caitlyn. Jinx is another good one that we haven't really seen much in this tournament, but I do feel that it would fall under Lloyd's wheelhouse.
Pretty surprised to not see that much Jinx in general in the plane, just because a lot of these teams do play that champion. Saw it quite a lot in a lot of their regional finals, so not yet on the Jinx, but perhaps in future, as I do like this Vlad ban actually from Ascension. Plugo, like I said, showing a pretty strong showing on their champion.
So jungler right now seems to be the priority, so that Plugo can get the counter pick in the middle lane. With Trundle taken off the board, Skarner, Olaf, a lot of the strongest junglers are gone. You could go for something like a Graves if you wanted to, or you could go for another tanky option, something like the Zac that we saw from Oddie earlier on.
Nivea though seems to be the pickup here. Yep, Plugo going to take that one into mid lane. So we'll see how Ascension round out their draft in need of an AD carry and a... I'm bad at everything.
AD carry and mid lane.
Nailed it.
I would assume, unless they're going to go for the Camille mid. Highly unlikely.
Actually, not that into it.
It is awful.
Yeah, it's kind of a rough time. It was a lot better when Camille's released. Turns out she was a bit stronger of a champion, but a classic here for G4.
That's not a Yasuo, though.
It's not a Yasuo, which is unfortunate.
It does round out a nice teamfight composition for Ascension. They do generate a bit of lane pressure as well with the Orianna, especially early levels against the Anivia. Once Anivia hits level 6, things become a little harder for the Orianna, so she's just focused on wave clear. But at least they get a bit of fun down in the bottom lane.
Kalista is the lock-in for Lloyd. I like it. A little bit of spice here to round out the day.
So, I feel like I've said it before, gonna say it again. Team fighting for Ascension. I feel like it's their strength as a team as a whole, something that even when they've fallen behind early, they've been able to do. Guys, don't fall for it.
Yep. Oh, there we go. Ivan, that's a fun one there for T-Wolf.
Is it? Is Ivan really fun?
Maybe, I mean, it's definitely not fun for the opposition.
I will say that he's more fun than Maokai.
That I agree with.
But is that really an accreditation? Either way...
it would have been really good with Yasuo, by the way.
That would have been great with Yasuo. But regardless, Ivan, he is that utility-focused jungler. He enables AD carries extremely well. He's going to go for a full kind of supported build with things like Athenes. You can also go for the Ardent Sensor. You can get yourself a Redemption if you want as well. Overall, he's going to be basically there to enable the Caitlyn and give her a much stronger mid game.
And if we're thinking again about a lot of these bot lanes actually moving through the tournament towards the knockouts, towards the group stage, Ivan is a very real champion that we could see. So perhaps T-Wolf is saying, you know what, this is just something that legitimately can fit in this metagame. We'll see maybe an early glimpse about how it can perform on this stage.
Well, it also is slightly odd, given that T-Wolf loves to play aggressive junglers. To be fair,
about the opposite.
Most of them have been banned away, but yes, it is quite the opposite of what he typically plays. We'll see how he makes it work, because his Trundle didn't have the greatest impact earlier in the day.
Well, certainly an interesting one, but Ivan, interesting to see, I guess we'll call it at this point. I think KLG, they're sticking to, again, AD carry focus. T-Wolf will likely be trending there with his early clears. Very straightforward front-to-back comp, and the team fighting comp we expected to see from Ascension as well.
Very much so. Now, we do have to remind our viewers that given that Gambit have secured first place in this group, this game will have no implication on the standings. We will be jumping into game in just a second, but given that the pressure is off, given that they're no longer playing for anything, you would imagine that both of them return to this unfiltered regional aggression that they have been so known for during their regular seasons.
That is absolutely what I am hoping for, Video. So with a 5-man invade to kick it off, we'll see what KLG can bring to us at level 1.
So Nate just kind of popping his head around, being like, oh, you know, just doing the standard look-see. There's nothing dangerous.
Surprise! Oh, good route there. Gonna move back in. Great Q from Nate, gonna knock him up. Great stun to follow it up, and the CC chain is perfect.
First blood goes to KLG. 5-man secret strat in the top side. Rocky, he didn't have to use his flash because he wasn't allowed to. The chain CC was sublime, allowing KLG to find that first kill. But now Ascension gonna use this as an opportunity to gain a bit of control over the enemy blue buff. Let's see if Fix and Slow can interrupt this at all.
Yep, counter wards being put down, so Ascension know that the jungle will likely be split vertically here, thanks to the start, but G4 also going to check over, get a ward, and at least confirm the information that they can pretty reasonably expect. Well, it looks like people are going to poke around. Plugo moving up.
That's a lot of damage in Tressa.
Wrap around flank here. Tressa, I think, taking a little too much. Passes one off. There's another great stun.
Oh, no.
2-man for Plugo. The Ignite is down in Tressa. Oh, no, he goes down. G4's going to come up as well, but it's a 2v3. G4 can't join the route. He's in onto wide. He's trying to hop away to safety. He does get a kill onto Slow, but now a 2v2 as Plugo going to get stunned in by the Braum, but another stun is going to get lined up. He gets a flash. And now here's T-Wolf.
It's not over yet.
It's a level 2 Ivan versus a level 1 Ori. Cleanse insta-use there by G4. T-Wolf going to keep chasing Plugo. How fancy does he feel? Not going to use the flash for a potential stun.
Wow, that was an interesting level 1. The blue buff invade goes awry. KLG find themselves 3 kills, all from the bot side of their map. Everything couldn't have gone worse, really, for Ascension. And a trend seems to be that when KLG get an early lead, they're pretty good at using it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, T-Wolf, again, not the most aggressive of junglers.
Hang on a second, did you see that level 2 gank from the Ivern? That's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, and Tressa's going to get 3 buff, which is kind of the ending of the bad news, but this is what started it.
So, I mean, from Ascension side, they're like, oh, we can just trade. But the problem is that it took so long. The first blood happened so early that Fix and Slow could make their way down to the blue buff and actually go for this counter. And Plugo, he just forgets about mid lane. He roams down. And even though Lloyd is able to get the kill, he was only able to get it onto the support. So Fix stays in lane. He's now level 2. He secured himself a kill and has 2 assists. That BF sword is going to come in very, very early.
Yeah, one of the fastest timings we may very well see for the item here in the tournament. Also note that at 2 minutes we had 4 kills. That's 2 kills a minute if my terrible maths is any good. I'm hoping for that pace to continue, just personally.
Well, this Kalista Braun lane, I'm not going to have as much fun as I'm sure they were hoping for.
No.
Like, hey guys, let's play like an aggro bot at level 6. We have loads of kill threat. We can just dive onto them. We have Sejuani, loads of kill pressure. And they're like, we're like a level and a half down. They're going to have BF sword super early, so... Maybe, oh, he's actually already bought himself boots. That must have been after the first one, so...
Made his way down there to contest for the blue.
Right.
All makes sense.
And this tower's at 50% health in 4 minutes.
Getting shredded by the Caitlyn, who again, as you mentioned, is BF swordless right now. And look who's coming down with level 4 on Ivan after taking his buffs.
See, now the funny thing is, Timberwolf loves ganking bot lane. I just wasn't expecting him to do it this much on an Ivan.
Oh, Rich, that's troublesome. Binding actually hits on the Kalista. Might be worse. There's the first kill. Lloyd flashes out of the way.
They will get this tower. Kalista has to go back to base. Sejuani's heading down there, but there's a cannon minion wave. And with Timberwolf hanging around, they should actually be able to secure this one, like, around 5 minutes into the game.
Even some bonus brush for Fix to help with the headshot. It's all coming together. The synergy is massive. KLG will continue their very aggressive snowball. Take down bot outer turret.
So the last time these two teams met, KLG actually had one of the fastest games of the MSI tournament, simply by just stomping Ascension in the early game. And I'm sure this is not how Ascension wanted the game to start, but we're now seeing a very similar trend to what happened last time, Pastry.
To be fair, this is not the kind of aggression I expected necessarily, but it's certainly working out well so far. True to form for KLG. This G4 is just trying to hold on and get some farm.
So the biggest issue that Ascension have right now is that Kalista is a very early game focused champion. She doesn't have the greatest of scaling available to her. Even though she can still have an impact in teamfights, especially against relatively squishy teams, she really suffers against tanks. And overall, because of her itemization, she doesn't typically scale that well. So you kind of want to have early leads. You want to be playing towards the bottom side of the map. But given that the tower is already gone, and you're so far down in experience and farm, it makes playing towards the bottom side of the map very, very difficult.
And Intresso is going to get hard zoned here. As Slow does get a binding, but I think he's maybe a little too far forward. Going to get stunned up. The Ignite down already, and there's another kill.
Ascension finally answer back. Slow is a little bit too big for his boots this time around. He doesn't have the support from the rest of his team. His AD carry was still in lane, and now Plugo could be in trouble. Does have flash.
Rich with the fast feet, though. Jukes had a couple of skill shots, and now Plugo in trouble of getting turned into Agnivia. Now a TP coming in from KLG, but the ult from G4 is there. Oh, it's going to be scrambled on Litzvedius. G4 gets the kill, and Rocky's down. Maybe he wants a little bit more.
Both top laners TP'd in. I feel like Rocky could have cancelled it, but top wave is pushing in his favor anyway, so he can go back to base, catch that one up afterwards. Ascension find themselves 2 quick kills. KLG perhaps getting a little too over-eager here, allowing Ascension to come back a little bit into this game.
Certainly kind of expected a chaotic one between the two, but Ascension kind of doing what they've done all tournament and really fight back in situations where they fall behind. You just expect, okay, like this team can close it out from there, but they have had so much chaos and resilience in kind of evening up where they can. It's just closing the game. It's kind of been their struggle. So, like I said, I expected a barn burner. That's what this is turning into very quickly.
While that's definitely true, gotta criticize KLG as well. I feel like a lot of the plays they just tried to make were definitely unnecessary. They were unneeded risks that Ascension very aptly punished. So let's see if Ascension can keep this up. I'm curious as to what they now do in terms of next steps, because you would typically swap your bot side up towards the top lane and then start pressuring the second outer tower. So even if they trade, they get one tier tower, they get one tower in the bottom lane, at least you will then have a tower advantage. But this is so early on into the game, it could allow Kalista to start picking up a bit of extra farm, and then once she hits an item or two, they could look to try and force a couple plays. So it feels like that this is the play that KLG are going to go for. Will Ascension look to match, or they try and keep their Kalista down towards the bottom side?
Right now, Lloyd is sitting down here in bot. Again, the accelerated Caitlyn BF Sword plus Berserker is already done. Means
Rough.
that turrets don't mean too much to the Caitlyn. Who's also level 6. Trap's going to go down. T-Wolf's even here, just shadowing the top lane just in case.
You can even see that Nate is holding his own in the 2 versus 1. Sion is kind of obnoxious in that regard, given the amount of wave clear and push that he has. And now with T-Wolf up in the top lane, level 6, he can just further help take out these ad attacks.
Daisy gets the 4v0 right now going on the turret, and there's the outer down. Straightforward stuff here for KLG, who did overreach a touch in the last play before. The Ascension falling rapidly behind in this game.
So now, ideally, KLG would love to take the Rift Herald, but it's not alive yet, Pastry.
It's true, a 10-minute spawn, I believe. So, gonna have to wait around as T-Wolf pushes for another route. Finds one, Daisy's in there. No follow-up though. Trap was not quite fast enough from Fix.
Rich just too tanky this early on into the game. But also just not quite enough damage coming out from KLG. They have a 2,000 gold lead for the time being. Full control over the top side of Ascension's jungle. Not much that they can really do with that right now. I feel like that this game has accelerated much faster than KLG were expecting. And sometimes as a result, you can struggle to know what the next step should be, because taking down towers, trying to force fights, still very difficult this early on into the game. The item differential isn't so big that you suddenly snowball in early levels. Or in the early game, what really makes a difference are early levels. And you can see if you just compare relative to both sides, G4 actually has a level advantage over Plugo. Lloyd's still level 6, Defix is level 6, Rich even has the level advantage himself. So in terms of the level differential, it's actually fairly even. There's just a couple of small item disparities, which will get worse over time because obviously KLG can hit their item spikes that much sooner. But for Ascension, it's not the end of the world right now. They just have to make sure that the snowball doesn't get out of control.
Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of trough. Oh, nice ult from G4. Pressure onto Plugo. Going to dodge the stun as well, but slows here with the binding. Nice cleanse. G4 certainly living up to a lot of what he's shown on international stages in past, and this game is no exception.
Feels like that he feels very confident on the Orianna.
He has ruined Oceanic Hearts before, let me tell you.
Well, unfortunately, he won't be able to do so today, but he can at least leave MSI plans on a high note as long as Ascension can find a way to turn what has been a dire early game back into their favor. Currently 0 towers to 2. KLG now will get the Rift Herald on spawn. Slow actually being forced to tank that one up.
The most unlikely jungle duo, Fix and Slow, and Plugo. I guess make it a trio now.
Oh, put it back in the ulti. What are you doing?
Glacial Storm, little awkwardly positioned, but apparently T-Wolf not needed. Doesn't even have Smite as he walks over here, but he's going to give it a couple slaps, and Rift Herald will go over to KLG.
So now they can just throw that down in the middle lane. The mid tower will likely go in favor of KLG. They'll then take all the outer towers, and then the hard part begins. Because taking tier 2s is harder in the sense that you have to commit that much further over to the enemy side of the map. As a result, it gives more options for the opposition to find flanks, like TPs or just coming over from the Fog of War. So ideally what you have to do is you have to move into the enemy jungle, steal away a bunch of the camps, gain control over the enemy jungle, and then deny those potential flanks, while then slowly starting to chip down these tier 2 towers. If you're not patient and you try to be a little bit too quick on the play, Ascension is the kind of team that will look to try and punish you. So once that mid tower does drop, if KLG are even able to secure it for themselves, this is where things start to get a little more difficult.
Treso trying to make some action happen. Rocky with a stun there in onto Nate. Tries to choo-choo away, but nothing to choo-choo out of just yet. The ultimatum is there. Flash ults out. Just barely. Intresso missed that follow-up CC.
Yes, Intresso tries to flash in the way because he thinks that Nate is going to ulti first. But Nate flashes first, then uses the ultimate to get out, and he has it just in time to mitigate the ultimate from Intresso. Now with the Rift Herald, mid tower likely going to go down. KLG looking to extend their gold.
Yep, no mitigation here, unfortunately, for the mid-outer. Will get felled. KLG again now invade that jungle, opening up all this space. So it's giving them opportunities to try and find picks. There's a binding after the root. Pix, though, has a bigger prize in mind. It is Lloyd. He's going to hop over. As Tio tries to again land another skill shot. Not going to grab it this time, though. Play continues as G4 threatening Slow with the ultimate. TP in there from KLG. A big commitment. Slow now going to get aggressed on. That should be a kill for Rocky. Rich gets the kill. Looking for the shockwave, but G4 can't quite grab it. Rich, though, hopping away as Fix tries to lay more damage, but G4 putting on a show. Takes down Fix. As Plugo also isolated on the left-hand side. Not sure what the flank was for, but he's out of soundness. He's soon to be out of health. And Ascension again, thriving in the chaos. They're going to try and pick up even more kills, Vedius. Nate going to get stunned. Going to get turned into zombie Scion Train Man. And Ascension just picked up 4 kills, I think. Ascension
with a huge team fight. This is exactly the kind of comeback that they were looking for, Pastry. It was just KLG overextending in the enemy jungle, and a fantastic collapse from the Ascension squad. They're not done. They're going for the delayed ace.
They pull the trigger so quickly. Look at it. T-Wolf stun gonna land. The spears will be ripped out. And Lloyd claims the kill, and now the turret. ASC turning it around. In fact, they will hold a gold lead once this turret goes down.
What is this game? Ascension. Kalista now has 3 kills. Right, so have a look at this. They caught Brom out. They're like, okay, this is good. We have Plugo coming in from the flank, they can get the collapse. G4 actually gets there first, and like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why is Lloyd above us? Oh, look at your mini-map. You can see the Camille coming in from the flank as the Slow is forced to flash out. And now they're being attacked from 3 different sides. You have the full collapse from the river. Fix is forced to use his flash very early on. G4 is able to secure the kill, while Plugo is left out to dry in a 1 versus 2. And because Ascension were able to split up KLG and they couldn't play their front-to-back comp, the carries ended up dropping right from the get-go, and then the tanks could be cleaned up later.
Well, it was a fun one. A raucous across the top half of the rift, as Nate did also for Ascension again, right back in it. In fact, almost done. Who's going to grab it? Cool Fix able to find the final shot, but Ascension love themselves a good excuse to fight. T-Wolf, though, Black Shield lasts long enough to not have Sidwani lock him up, and now Nate moves back down, but a double lock. They found Fix. G4 making it happen, putting the carry pants on high above his waist. And Ascension looking for more. They're going to grab Nate as well with the Spear's Load on a killing spree. That's Slow dead from the Hextech ultimatum. And Ascension make it 2-3 more kills.
You know, and we talked Pastry Time in the draft about how, with the pressure off, will these teams just look to go back to that early aggressive style? It is just constant fighting, and Ascension are the team to come out on top. This is where they found so much success in their region, and now they're finding success once again.
Still at a kill a minute, Vedius. I'm a happy man, as G4 will also take an objective and take the mid-outer turret. This is the man that has represented his team in his region so many times, and he is putting on a show with a 10-stack Dark Sails. Ascension also fell the outer ring.
Whew. Rage Blade completed for the Kalista. We talked about KLG hitting those item spikes first, but it is definitely Ascension. This is where you want your Kalista to be at this point in the game. She is so strong, especially with that Rage Blade finished.
Not where I thought we were going to be. Fix actually has a variety bucket of items down there. BF Sword Pickaxe plus the Kerchute Sharders. Oh, please let's watch this again. Vedius, take me through it.
So, Entresso kind of messes up the ulti engage because the Black Shield is still there, but KLG feel they can go for the re-engage with Nate coming in. They don't respect the ultimate from G4, and with his ball just sitting in that choke point, the backline of KLG cannot get involved in the fight. So then Ascension can cleanly kill the front line and just slowly start chasing down any of the leftover targets for them to pick up.
And G4, again, we highlight him, done so much work in this game, sitting at 2-0-6. Luden's already done, has the Sork Shoes, and I spy a second needlessly large rod that now only builds into 1 item, I believe.
Second needlessly large rod. Wait, where am I looking now, Pastry?
Inventory of G4. I believe needlessly large rod
G4,
now only builds
Sorry,
to Death Cap.
For some reason, in my head, I was like, has he built 2 Rod of Ages? I don't see 2 Rod of Ages there. I don't know why my brain
That would be a needlessly large Rod of Ages. So
it would be, yes.
Agree there.
That's where I went. You're right, exactly right. No, you are correct. Death Cap.
Death Cap
damage.
only.
He is ascending through wizardry school. He wants to know how to make his enemies' life bars disappear. So far, he's already done a great job, but he wants to be better at it. He wants to enforce those abilities. 2 items now finished on Lloyd, 17 minutes in. That hurts. Pastry.
Again, accelerated Caitlyn. 2-1 and 2 now for Fix. Had a 0 in the death column for a while. Now just has his Infinity Edge. Yes, obviously the items have pretty big price differences, but Lloyd is ready to go. We thought he was out of this game after the first 5 minutes, and he is right back in it with the rest of Ascension.
This is a dance party if I have ever seen one. Just everybody moving back and forth. Farm is out the window. Who cares about perfect CS anymore, Pastry? It's all about action. You grab your partner, you bring him in with the shockwave, and only one person leaves the dance floor.
Ideally, yeah, your team will leave it. For some reason, the enemy team is strewn out dead across the floor.
I didn't want to get graphic. It was more like, you know, a metaphor.
I get it. I'm sorry. As Rocky gets
why are you murdering people when you go dancing videos?
I don't know. Why are you? Why would you say that? All right, well, someone clip that. We're going to move through.
Out of context things that casters say. Right, so, pressure on the map. Definitely in favor of Ascension. They have control over mid. They've pushed in topside. They have a couple of wards in the entrances to KLG's jungle. The Baron spawns. Oh, ulti comes out.
Good Black Shield again from Slow, preventing that. But Baron up in a minute 20. Maybe not a hot commodity just yet. But
what? It's a Kalista. And
That's
you've got
true.
an overfed Orianna. I feel like it would die pretty quickly. And to be honest, it would kind of fit the theme of this game.
Oh, it absolutely would.
Like, and what better way to make your opponents fight you than starting Baron and getting them to TP in, right? So we'll see how things pan out as Ascension look to gain a bit of mid control, but Plugo making that difficult.
Yeah, Anivia always making anything other than farming waves that have pushed your turret a tricky one. Percy does get stunned by Plugo, but he's just patiently waiting for the minions to come back. Thankfully, outer turret is down on both sides, so Ascension have a little bit more room to push Anivia back towards, but Trinity Force also done for Rocky means that Ascension, with their bevy of aggressive champions, can get some stuff done in the team fight phase, which for them, I think is all game.
Does feel like it. Sejuani now 3-1 and 3. Boots of Mobility were picked up for Tearwolf, which made sense in the early game. Now, he's not quite happy about that purchase. He has got the Redemption. It looks like he's working towards the Athenes. So, still looking to play around Fix. Could still be a big carry for the team, but at this point in the game, KLG just want to avoid fighting. They kind of have to rely on the scaling option and all the wave clear that they have with Anivia and Caitlyn. Definitely a late game option is available to them when you compare the Caitlyn to the Kalista, but given how squishy Nate is right now, he's definitely not someone that can soak up the damage that Lloyd is able to throw out.
No, not at all, as Mountain Drake will be spawning in 20 seconds. Ascension, again, I said they never fail to find any excuse to start a team fight. So it looks like Scuttle Crowd will go to them, and they'll be camping the spawn somewhat of the Mountain Drake, looking to take that down for themselves and kind of at least equalize the Drakes somewhat, as KLG have claimed the first 2, which were Oceans. The G4 gets a push back out, and there we go. Like you said, Kalista Vedius, not a champion we've seen for a little while, so I did forget, but very, very good at securing objectives.
And I really love Rageblade on her as well, just because she's one of those champions that doesn't really hit you in the face with really big crits. She's much more of a damage over time. You know, you get all those rend stacks, and because you're just constantly hitting whoever's in front of you, you are able to build up those Rageblade stacks, and then you also have the double applying of your E as well. So a lot of value that you can get out of the Rageblade once it is fully stacked.
And just look at what happened in this game. At 10 minutes, Ascension were already down 2,000 gold. Now at 20, they're up 4.3k. They like redoubled their deficit 10 minutes later.
Yep. And I feel like that deficit was even worse, right? Because they were like at a 4,000 gold deficit at one point when they were 3 towers down, and then it all fell to disaster. You just look at some of the level differentials too. You can see the G4 level 13 to the 12, 11 on Impressor over to 10 of Tearwolf. Rocky has a nice level advantage as well, and these levels really do make a pretty big difference, especially with a couple of the first few items. But speaking of items, you were correct. that is a fully completed death cap.
He has ascended to whatever level is next after Luden's Echo in Wizard School. I think you're a more competent wizard than I, Benny, so I'll defer to you to tell me exactly, or potentially what level that is. If you don't want to give away mysterious age arcane secrets, I will understand.
They're secret Welsh secrets, so I'm afraid that I can't tell you all about Welsh wizardry.
And even if you could, I would not understand.
It's true. You certainly wouldn't. We do speak quite a complex language where we use strange sounds to communicate with each other. But Baron is now up and available.
Like shoutcasting.
Like shoutcasting, very much so. Rocky in the 1v1 against Nate, generating a lot of pressure. Does have the Tiamat to help with the wave clear. Lifesteal being picked up for Lloyd as well. I feel like I just want to see Baron being started for Ascension.
You read my mind. Exactly where I think the team should go.
Because the important thing is, you got to recognize KLG can't fight, and so Ascension want to. Therefore, the best way to do that is to start the Baron, because the enemy team will come and fight.
And they have started the Baron, but G4 has been cut off at the pass. Rocky also here, and they're just going straight in. They threw the Braum in already with the Fate's Call from Kalista. And they've killed Daisy. 1 down, 5 to go.
Well, that was a lot of ultimates used from the side of Ascension, but they got the TP out from Nate, which is a really big deal. It means that Rocky will have the TP advantage, means that Ascension can more reliably force these plays and flanks, but it's just important for them to get the deep vision towards the top side to enable those plays to happen. But as we were discussing, the Baron was started off by Ascension. They wanted to try and force the fight. They just tried a little too hard to end up making it happen, and they couldn't find it.
Step 1 in Operation Baron has somewhat been completed by Ascension, like you said, taking that TP away. Rocky is step 2. There's a good amount of split push pressure here in the bot lane, and now this team has the teleport advantage. Plugo could swap over with his spellbook if he so desired, but looks like Rocky might just take this one away, and Ascension gonna reset the map and maybe just go straight back to that Baron. Tower does fall though, and Rocky put in work here in the side lane on this Camille. Ascension with a pretty clear game plan though as they sweep through the red buff around KLG. Again, getting that vision down, denying what they can, and just opening up more space around everyone's favorite objective.
But Pastry, there's no control wards in the inventory of Ascension. Deficio is shaking his head right now in shame.
Misstep 0 by control wards.
Yeah, that's very true. Plugo now.
Good flash, gets himself out, but for how long is Rocky? He's going to move over. Ultimatum ready. They do put Plugo in it, but I think he's got the passive maybe to save himself. Rocky does get stunned. Plugo doesn't even get the passive pop. Another re-engage in from Nate. Pops into the rubble. He is not the Drift King.
Went straight into the deceased turret. Cannot find the re-engage. Very unfortunate there for Nate. You can see what he wanted to do. Unfortunately, the execution just wasn't quite on par. Ascension back to the Baron.
And have started it already. I don't know if that's Lloyd and his Hurricane running interference, or if they do want to commit. Looks like it's the latter. They're going to force KLG to the area.
They won't be able to get much off of this, though. Just waiting for Plugo to come back into the fray. Ascension, they were not able to kill Plugo. Shows you how much shielding that this Ivern plus Morgana comp does have at its disposal. The double Airy as well just makes that shielding even stronger. So it was very, very difficult to shut through Plugo. I don't know. I don't think he was burnt into his egg form.
No.
Yeah, he does still have that available to him. But yeah, Ascension not quite finding the fight once again. KLG just stalling out as best they can.
Same setup though here. Rocky on the bot side, looking to get the split push going. Plugo will take the blue buff just short of the top of the screen. But Rocky may have found a 1v1. No, instead just going to wait for the wave. Hide a little more info, and Nate's actually going to walk back around again. Just to be a bit careful with no TP, at least for half that duration still.
6,000 gold lead now in the favor of Ascension.
Didn't think you'd be saying that at 25 minutes into this game.
I definitely thought KLG would be looking to replicate their performance the last time they went up against Ascension. But Ascension, they found a couple of good fights. We talked about how this team have demonstrated their ability to team fight so far in the playing stage, but often they were always at a deficit before they were able to get to that point, and they were not quite able to close out a lot of the games that perhaps they could have won. But to be fair, I feel like they've shown a lot of positive things, and for their first debut on the international stage, Ascension have definitely turned heads on their performance. Now, the Baron is being kicked off.
Really like this again, Ascension with the same setup. Rocky actually, still on the bot side, forcing. Ascension might just get it with the Rend here from Kalista. It's going to be a very big steal if they can find it. They can't get it. The Rend is there, and now Teal straight to his death. And Lloyd gets the extra double there. And again, the fight continues. Intresso looking for the engage. Does get stunned up, but he's so tanky as Fix is forced to flash the Winter's Bite. Fate's Call though, looking for the re-engage. They'll wait out the Black Shield, but it's not quite enough.
And Nate couldn't join the fight because the TP was unavailable, allowing Rocky to stay in his 1 versus 1 and secure the tower after the Baron had been picked up. Everything goes in the favor of Ascension. They extend their gold lead.
Somewhat uncharacteristic safe play here, though. I thought maybe they'd overcommit for the inhibitor and look to take it with the man advantage, but instead, T-Wolf Spawn is just a little too short. Instead, they'll take the Cloud Drake and even those up 2 for 2.
So now Ascension, they can just keep Rocky off onto his side lane. He's more than capable of soloing out Nate. You can see he's well on his way to getting himself the Flame Horizon as well. He is a very strong Camille. G4 looking the same, but let's have a look at the Baron. The Rend plus smite damage is, I believe, the T-Wolf. Oh no, they didn't even need it. The smite comes in first from Intresso. Oh, I know it did. So we actually had double smite, I believe. And then the Rend ended up finishing it off. So did around 800 damage. Pretty cool. Rocky now going in 1v2.
Oh, get the double stun without even knowing. Now just gonna fight Fix. That was a misstep from KLG, and Rocky makes them pay.
Really good pick there from Ascension. They're now grouping up in the top side.
Again, a feint there from Rocky. The turret's going down. They got Baron. They are burning through these structures.
There's also an exposed inhibitor in the bottom lane. Oh no, that ulti from Anivia is not going to clear out the minions.
They move forward again. The cannon's still standing strong. Brawl unbreakable up. Ascension going straight in for it. They want more blood. They love to fight. They'll dive the turret. Turret gets destroyed. Rocky makes sure that business is attended to. And Nate popped into zombie form as Ascension turn this game completely on its head.
That is going to be the inhibitor going in Ascension's favor. The aggression paying off this time around. G4 came up huge. The team fights have come in clutch. But it looks like... I believe they have been spotted. Plugo knows.
Oh, Fate's Call! You gotta make a difference! G4 with the shockwave combo! Beautiful stuff from Ascension, and Lloyd is off tap right now. Looking to take down Slotus and quite grab it with the Rambo. Fig is gonna be destroyed. Once again, Ascension rampage through KLG's base.
Between 2 towers, they pick up another kill. Beautiful play from Ascension. 16 kills to 4. They have the Nexus
They're not done! G4 gets another kill! With the distance after Rocky with the assist on the Hextech Ultimatum. And these Nexus turrets are looking awfully vulnerable. Ascension are going to keep going. Look to maybe for a few more kills to pad it out, but they should take a bow as they end this game, saying, KLG, you want to play our game? Play it better than us. And today, that was not possible.
Excellent play from Ascension. They're able to leave with their heads held high. Ended the day 2-1, getting the upset over Gambit, taking down KLG. They could not find the win against Rainbow 7. But overall, they came out much better on day 2. Or day 3, rather. They must feel a little bittersweet after they came pretty close multiple times on day 1. But unfortunately, they couldn't find any victories at the beginning.
I think G4 said it really well in his interview that he had, where he's like, I just wish we had played this way on day 1, you know, when we first started playing it. You know, you're always going to feel that way. Best of 1 is a volatile format at times, but G4, again, so much should have his head held high after that game, because he went off on Orianna to bring that game back from the brink of what looked like despair after KLG's great level 1.
And Ascension really punished the mistakes that KLG made after what was a fantastic start. We talked about how taking down that final outer tower would make things a lot harder, but they just kept going for these invades. They weren't respecting the potential collapse. And then the moment Ascension found a single small advantage, they did not stop. They were just like a bulldozer rampaging through everything.
And for KLG, I mean, obviously a tough loss for them here as well. Always good to end on a win, but, you know, the aggressive, fiery style, looking good, and with refinement, could certainly make a lot of waves back on an international stage.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, because unfortunately, it is the end of the road for them. Gambit will be the one to qualify from this group, and they will be going up in the best of 5 against either the LMS or Vietnam.
Well, to hear more about that win and to close out the day, let's send it over to Shocks and the analysts.
Thank you very much, guys, and welcome to the desk. And also, Welcome Diamond Frogs to the desk. I have to say, it's kind of a trip and it's really cool to see you in the Gambit jersey back at the desk. Of course, you were wearing the Unicorns of Love jersey a couple of years ago, but this is just a cool feeling. The epic diamond on the analyst desk.
I feel great being here again too.
Yeah.
Especially in my kind of home team. I really love Unicorns of Love is love for me. I really enjoyed being in the team, but Gambit is like the first home.
We can definitely understand that, and also coming off a fantastic performance today. We'll talk about that in a bit. Let's first button up this last game. Ascension racking up another win, and G4 had some fantastic plays. We're going to take a look at a little highlight reel brought to you by Acer Predator, because it's nice that in the end Ascension got to win 2 games. They said that they wanted to come here, and if they couldn't win the whole thing, at least they wanted to bring some pride back to Thailand and the GPL.
Yeah, especially after the poor first day. So coming back into this one, they just wanted to ended on a strong note, so they took it seriously and they ended up coming out with a 2-1.
Yeah, absolutely. They played a little bit more loose as well. You saw the aggression coming out. You saw the skirmish-heavy gameplay. Unfortunately, wasn't enough to net them that first place, as we mentioned, but just shows that when they are able to get onto the front foot and play aggressive style of League of Legends, that they can go toe-to-toe with anyone.
Yeah, Diamond, you noticed because in the very first game of the day, they were stronger than you. What do you make of Ascension overall?
I think coming into even first day, we didn't expect Ascension or KLG to be to be that strong. We everyone were saying that it's basically Rainbow Seven and Gambit group, and everyone else is bad teams. But after the first day, or even after the first game against Ascension, I knew they're a strong. I actually first we played against KLG, I think. Then I watched the game of Ascension, and I see they're getting demolished in terms of gold, but they're still fighting really well, and their opponents are making it hard for their opponents to even finish the game, and they almost came back. After that, I knew that they're a strong team. And our first game against this team showed that, at least to us, that they're strong too. It was very hard to win. And the second game, it happened today that we lost. It basically showed that they're just one of the best teams in our groups in terms of team fighting. That's how they win.
That was very clear. Tell me about after that first game that you lost, you still had a buffer because you won 3 games on the first day, but how was the rest of the day like for you? Did you ever lose a bit of confidence that you're not going to get out of the group? I
think it was mostly sad losing the first game, because after losing the first game and then 2 other teams played each other, we knew that there's not going to be an easy group for us anymore, because an easy get out of groups anymore. So we need to win everyone to get out of the groups. Otherwise, it's going to be either tie breaks, and in the end we have to win Rainbow Seven, or we will just not make it. So it was, if we would win the first game and the second, we would get out of the groups easily, but we made it hard for ourselves. This is in Russian style, I think we always tend to do that. When everything is easy, you would just somehow make it worse and worse and worse unless your back is to the wall, and then we try to win.
Well, exactly. In that Rainbow Seven game as well, you guys had such a huge lead, and somehow it took a while to close it out. It seemed very, very tense, but it must have been a huge load off your shoulders that you made it in the end, and in spectacular fashion. Can you compare to me that run at Worlds where you guys went 0-4, which was very disappointing? What is different about this Gambit?
I think there's the differences. The first difference is obviously ADK, but it's not the biggest reason why we managed to show good results here and really bad results there. The biggest difference is that we had really bad preparation coming into Worlds. We didn't do that good of preparation. There were a lot of factors that we didn't overcome. And this time we knew what can slow us down, what can make our practice worse. For example, we should not take day offs after our split. We should prepare all the time. We knew what patch we were going to play. We prepared for this patch exactly, and screamed only in this patch. So I think a lot of outside of the game preparation were put into this mid-season invitational for us, and it definitely paid off.
Yeah, and I think that in a couple of your team comps that really came through as well, because especially day one, you guys were playing some very fun comps targeted towards different teams. Today, it seemed to be a little bit more standard. But is that just because they changed the draft priority and started allowing Kira to have his Anivia and things like that? Or was it that you had specific comps that you wanted to run at the start of the tournament?
We didn't have specific comps that we definitely want to run. like we had a lot of ideas coming into this tournament, what champions or team compositions we want to play. Some of them were tested a lot, some of them were not. And it just so happened that, for example, this Nocturne game, our opponents like kind of got into IQ trap that by picking some champions that allowed us, like they didn't have a lot of shields, they didn't have heals against the comp that basically one-shots someone of you, and we were not afraid to pick it, and I think it worked very well. But today, even though our draft seems kind of like normal, I don't think it's that some of those drafts are going to happen, for example, in the big tournaments. For example, I'm not sure if someone's going to play Kazakhstan or stuff like that. Yep. So it's not totally like usual stuff.
Meta, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, this preparation point that you touch on, this is what the analysts said as well. It looks like Gambit has just come in very, very prepared. You said that straight from day one.
Yeah, I think the biggest key from day one is that you guys felt so confident in playing through bottom lane as well. Because a lot of your plays in the regional, or at least from the LCL, was through top lane and at times through mid lane. But then it felt like now you guys were really confident playing through bottom lane. So now going into a best of 5, it feels like you guys have a lot of arsenals, not just through your strategy, but the strategy now allows so much to happen. That's my take on it.
There's a lot of strengths, it seems like. And especially, like I said, he came in the last week of the regular season. How has it been adjusting with him? He looks really comfortable on that big stage.
Yeah, I enjoy playing with Vladdy because he is always, when he understands he can play aggressive, he always tries to. And even sometimes when he fails, he just learns from it, and in the end, if he learns from it, someday he will not make a single mistake, and then AD carry will solo carry the game.
Then he becomes Genja.
Oh, yeah, yes.
How fun is it to play with the 3 different generations, though? Because you've got yourself and Edward, who are kind of, you know, the original players, and Stehos as well as Kira, obviously coming through. Now you have a brand new AD carry as well. Is it fun to continue to integrate new people into the Gambit family?
Well, I actually didn't think about it before, but now that you ask, it's actually... it's very interesting for me because, yeah, it's definitely like that, and I think it helps a lot because the oldest generation, me and Edward, sometimes we're stubborn and someone needs to poke us, and that's what Stejas does most of the time. And then we needed some young star that is going to carry us from the most broken role in the game. And that's logic.
That's fun to hear. Steos also looks like a lot of fun to play with. I always see him very animated on the camera, and when he's winning, he's always shouting. So it seems like you guys got a cool dynamic going on in the team.
Yeah, we definitely have a good dynamic because Steos was a jungler too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Do you guys get along really well? Because to give up your role for someone to come onto the team and take top lane, which is boring as all heck to play most of the time, I mean, that's a pretty big compliment.
Yeah. I like him as a jungler. I never knew that we were going to play in one team when I saw him at Worlds like 2 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was a big surprise that he wants to change role to like play together, and it's really great. He actually helped me a lot with the jungle because some stuff, how to say, like you can always learn from other great jungler that does stuff differently, and he did a lot of stuff differently than me, and he taught me a lot from his own experience.
Yeah, I guess that's very important in your career, which has been so long, at one point to realize that, you know, you don't know it all, right? You still can learn from other people, and I think it's showing, and that's why it's going so great with Gambit so far. I do want to take a look at some important players that we've seen today. First one up is White Lotus. White Lotus from Rainbow 7, who we had very big expectations for. And overall, analysts, what is your verdict of
he gets a big tick from me. I mean, I was really critical of him. I said that potentially it was causing some rifts and some team synergy issues, but I think with how he performed today, that is absolutely not the case. This guy's an out-and-out superstar. He's a world-class AD carry, and I think on a different day, that last game, if you give it Tristana 6 items, can go a little bit different as well. So I think that he certainly stepped up and tried to carry out for his team and got very, very close.
Yes, and ultimately the team play really enabled that. Not the last game, but the first 2 games were incredibly strong to allow him to step up. When he got the time to step up, magic happened.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we will see him hopefully again on the international stage. The other guys I want to look at are from Gambit, both Edward and Kira. We mentioned it already, 3 generations, and Edward definitely is one of the old school guys, and he pulled out the Thresh as a treat in game 1. You ended up losing it. He tried to do some flash hooks as well, and I really felt like it was a blast from the past, but overall, Edward's been playing really well.
Yeah, and that's what I always love to watch with Edward. He's a confidence player. When he feels on point, he feels like absolutely nothing can get in his way. He'll pick whatever he wants into anything. That's a Thresh into a Braum, which is notoriously not a good matchup, and he made it work. His Dark Passages were on point, his Death Sentences were there, and he's just such an entertaining player to watch play the game.
And if you pick enough champions, Kira will finally get his Anivia. That's what's lovely to see. He hasn't gotten it since, or at least it's been 100% presence rate for him since week 2 of the LCL. He gets it for himself, and you can just play around it so confident.
And do you hate playing with Anivia? Because my team plays a lot of Anivia as well, and our jungler Spooks, he 100% does not like to play with that champion. Do you get frustrated with Anivia on the map?
You know, there was a guy in Europe back then named Froggen, I think, and he used to play Anivia against me. I hated him so much for just playing this champion because he could build whatever he wants, like Warmox still deals a lot of damage, he cannot be killed, he destroys any Lee Sin because you cannot jump, you cannot, like, you're blocked with a wall and stuff like that, and I hated this champion so much. But now that this champion is in my team, I can feel the pain from my opponents playing against it. It warms my heart.
Yeah, and Kira, he's just scary on that. He's just really, really good, and I don't want to bring it down just to Anivia because he had that run with Albus Noctuna as well. He was a fantastic player at Worlds overall, and he's just someone to watch game after game.
I mean,
yeah,
absolutely.
I was about to say, because it felt like the Karthus game was incredibly strong. He's even said it every single time.
I forgot.
Yeah, every time you have a discussion with him, he's like, I don't know what champion I'm going to play today. It just matters for him that he plays well no matter what.
I completely agree, and this is a guy that has been like at the top of the LCL for the last 3 years as far as mid laners go. I mean, he's just such a humble person as well when you speak to him. He's a genuinely, like, really lovely guy. The first time I met him was actually IWCA in Melbourne, and he went out with us, and he just seems like such a good person to have on the team.
Also got MVP of that tournament, I believe.
Absolutely, just so level-headed as well, and I think that he's one of those players that it's very hard to shake him off his game, and he just plays at such a consistent pace, which means that Anivia makes a lot of sense for him, but he really can play anything.
That's true. Well, as we button this up, Diamond, when you guys had the 0-4 run at Worlds, a lot of people were saying that you weren't on your best game. I have to say, this tournament you've played phenomenally, obviously in the LCL as well. What changes has Diamond gone through in the last year compared to the Diamond we know of years before? How are you a different player today?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff changed. For example, like jungle changed a lot. From some point, you needed to learn how to play around every lane, not only the top lane. Like I used to do with Cabochart and Darian mostly. Like I was only ganking bot in Moscow 5 when Edward said like, come, I flash hook or something like that. So I needed to learn how to play from every lane. I needed to learn a lot about vision and how to help my team with the vision, how to clear it from opponents, how to make it good for your team so they can play properly and not like saying that I can only stay under turret, otherwise I'm in danger of ganks. So this definitely was tough. Also, it was tough to grow from the person that wins everything to get to the person that loses a lot, and then stay mentally healthy, let's say like that, to improve your mentality and still don't get into any trouble in solo queue. So it was sometimes tough, sometimes there were problems growing up, but in the end, I think I improved a lot over the last years, and I'm definitely a better person and a player than I used to be.
Yeah.
And that feels good, but I want to be better.
Oh, I was going to say that's very commendable, because I can only imagine from going to winning literally everything in Europe and beyond. You went through so much, and now you're back here. You're back on the biggest stage, and you have a chance of making absolute history. But you're going to have to win that next best of 5. And that's, of course, what I need to ask you about. You're going to be randomly drawn or versus EVOS from Vietnam or versus the Flash Wolves from the LMS. We already heard that you guys kind of want to avoid the Flash Wolves. But either way, you're going to have to win a best of 5. So what do you think of your chances?
Well, first of all, if I would be just here to play for my own fun, I would choose Flash Wolves, because they're like a big challenge, and I always want to accept a big challenge. Then I don't know much about Evo, how they play. I will watch their games when
Aggressive.
if they will be selected to play against us. So I think best of 5 is a better. It's better for us as a team because we know that every game is important. Not like in group stage, you never know what games are going to end up important and what are not. So best of 5 is definitely what we are looking for, and now we just need to prepare ourselves good, and hopefully the team that is going to be chosen against us will be weaker.
Yeah, let's see. I am so looking forward to that. Obviously, tomorrow, after the end of every game, it will be drawn, and we will know what the best of 5s will be like. But first, the standings after today. Rainbow 7 unable to make the climb all the way to the top. They did put up a huge fight, though. We have to commend Rainbow 7 for coming in, winning those 2 games in a row, but in the end, falling to Gambit and Ascension and Chaos Latin Gamers out. Gambit reigns supreme.
Yeah, pride of Latin America North, Rainbow 7. I'm happy that they came back on day 3 and showed that they are strong.
Yep, and if we look at Group B for now, Supermassive is reigning supreme, 3-0. The Direwolves, though, they could do it. Kaboom could do it as well. Actually, everything can happen, but it looks like Supermassive has the best cards. They just looked head and shoulders above everyone else in that group.
Yeah, and the scary thing is, even if you do manage to upset Supermassive, if you are someone like Kaboom or the Direwolves, you still have to win all the other games in that group as well. So you can't put all of your preparation just into that one team, because we did see today that really any team can take games off it. So I think that this is one of those asks that, I mean, Supermassive, they just looked absolutely monstrous. And I think that it is going to be an uphill battle, but I think that people would be looking at Oceania's Direwolves if anyone can really do it.
Diamond, what do you think of Supermassive?
I think Supermassive is a really great team. I would say that coming into this tournament, I know that they're a better team than everyone else, but the problem for them was that they didn't have that much time to prepare for the new patch. They had 2 patches to prepare for in like 14 days or something. So I expected them to struggle because of this, but in the first days they showed that their preparation was on point. They didn't relax after winning TCL, and they definitely put up a great fight. And now I think if all those strategies that they've shown are not the only one that they prepared, because they're obviously going to be played around on the next day, that they're going to be ahead of everyone else.
Do you think if they continue, they can beat EVOS or Flash Wolves in the best of 5?
I think they're definitely a strong team that Flash Wolves or EVOS cannot win easy against.
Raz?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Supermassive right now can play incredibly well standard. Their biggest question marks has always been simply GBM's position, and if he was going to be able to show up, just because a lot of their pressure is going towards the bottom lane. Fabulous has been strong as well, so the fact that they all have this, like every lane is doing quite well for themselves, and Stomach is having a good time, a lot of it's been, can you upset their vision control? I don't think that's happening, no.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is they just play everything. I mean, we saw Fabulous like absolutely destroying DPM, and then all of a sudden he just pulls out Shen and plays it like absolutely flawlessly. I mean, this is a team that you really struggle to attack during draft. As I said, this is one of those games that you're going to have to play your game plan better than what they can execute. And with how well we saw them play, I mean, that is a very tough ask.
We'll see what they bring to the Rift tomorrow. That is when Group B returns. Let's take a look. We have the LJL's Pentagram versus TCL Supermassive up first. So Pentagram already have a lot of work to do tomorrow. And then first up there versus Supermassive. That's going to be difficult. And right after that, Spawn, the Direwolves versus Kaboom. Do you believe in the Wolfpack?
Yeah, I actually do believe in the Wolfpack. And it hurts me to say, because Oceania has burnt me so many times on the international stage. But every time, Raz, they give you that little bit of seed of hope before crushing all of your dreams.
But at least this time it's different. It's not them having a lead and snowballing it. It's the fact that they can get behind and still have a plan to find themselves back in it. So game 4, I think it can be Direwolves coming back and maybe challenging Supermassive.
What do you think, Diamond?
I think Direwolves is definitely a strong team. At least in our screens, they showed to be pretty strong.
The Diamond seal of approval. Wow.
Yeah, I think their jungler, even though he played great in scrims, he might not play the 100% similar playstyle in competitive games, because it's like too aggressive. But if he manages to do that, he can solo carry the game, and I think that they're going to be
Spawn Smile.
a tough opponent for Turks.
I just watched Shern scrim a lot, and he is a monster in scrims. He says that he has animal instincts. He's just in your face all the time, and
That's
he
true.
pretty much plays whatever the heck he wants. Like he's got some pocket picks that we haven't seen in a while.
All
that
I would say is last year at MSI they were too confident and they sucked, and now you're praising them a bit too much. We gotta come on. The Wolfpack needs to chill and.
Actually have changed a lot, even behind the scenes. This isn't a front they've put on for camera. I think that getting beaten the way they did in international competition really humbled them out, because you have to remember this is a team that domestically has dropped like I think 2 best-ofs in the last year and a half. So they're absolutely dominating Oceania, but I think the fact that they didn't do well international actually made them the stronger team. And then they made 2 big adjustments. They dropped their 2 last captains, Infantix and Destiny, to put this lineup together. So I think the evolution has been a lot. Is it enough to take down Supermassive or a powerhouse? I don't, in my opinion, I don't think so, but this is a team that has done the hard work to get to where they are now.
I have to agree, and we heard it from King himself yesterday, that triple in that mid lane, he's untiltable, he's calm. Surenfire also saying that they've come in, they're not overconfident, they're focusing on the prep and on the work, and it is showing so far, and I can only hope that things get as exciting as they were today.
And their coach is really smart. Like Curtis Sharp, whatever he goes by now, is one of the people in like League of Legends that I respect a lot. I think his preparation with the team is very good.
All right. Well, we can keep talking about Australia, but we can do that, and New Zealand, but we can do that some other time. I do want to thank Diamond for joining us and congratulating you. It's been absolutely cool having you on the desk, and the best of luck in your best of 5.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
It was nice to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thank you guys as well for joining me today, my analysts, and that will do it from us here in Berlin. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central European Summer Time for Pentagram versus BAU Supermassive. Until then, have a lovely evening. Bye.